So, as you can probably tell, I live in Barbados, and if you clicked on this video, I guess that means you want to live here too. So, I'm going to share with you my top 3 tips on how to move to Barbados. Let's get started. My first tip is decide if it's financially worth it. I know that the idea of moving to a Caribbean country is very glamorous and amazing, and you'll probably get a ton of really nice Instagram pics, but I do want to talk a little bit about the cost analysis. If you're going to move to Barbados, it's not going to be a cheap decision. Before you get here, and especially if you're going the route of the welcome stamp, the 12-month welcome stamp that the government is currently promoting, you have to consider a few things. So 1, figure out if you have enough money to live here for a year. 2, figure out how you're going to be getting around. Will you be paying taxis or will you be renting a car? Renting a car can be cheap for short term, but if you do it for an entire year, that can add up. So you have to figure that out in your budget. Also, where are you going to live? How much is that going to cost? Are you bringing dependents? Will they need to be in school? All of these things are things that you have to consider financially. So determine whether it's financially worth it. Is it worth it to come and live in another country if it's going to be exorbitantly expensive? And also, on top of all of those things, think about the cost of living here. I know that compared to especially first world countries like the States or countries in Europe, the UK, the pound or the dollar is valued more than the local currency here. But also consider the fact that this is a tourist country, so the prices are a little bit higher than you would usually find in another country. And also bear in mind, the welcome stamp 12-month scheme is a scheme for the government to make money. Yes, it's about welcoming others and cultural exchange, yada yada yada. At the end of the day, the 12-month welcome stamp is a scheme for the government to make money. And I say scheme in the most positive way possible because, of course, tourism is Barbados' #1 revenue generator. So obviously, we're all in the pandemic and tourists aren't coming as frequently as they usually would be. So this scheme of the 12-month welcome stamp is to encourage people to come, and so that the country would still be generating revenue from external funds. That's why you're not being charged taxes. They're just relying on the fact that you're going to come here, buy groceries, go out to restaurants, buy gas, all of those things, pay rent. And so that helps the economy to have some sort of stability and normalcy. So decide if it's financially worth it for you. So my second tip is you have to come prepared. 1, figure out what your life back home is going to look like while you're in Barbados. So who's going to take care of your apartment or your home? What's going to happen with your car if you have one? What's going to happen with your pet if you decide to leave them in back where you're staying, or are you going to bring them here? What's going to happen to your plants? These are things that you have to think about before you get here. And then also, as you're moving here, make sure that you have the visa application completed. They will not allow you to stay longer than the, I think, regulated 28 days if you don't have the welcome stamp. It's not something that they give you at the airport. You have to apply for it before you come here. Also, figure out where are you going to live. There are a few websites that I will leave down below that are really helpful for finding apartments, villas, depending on what your budget is. Those can be really helpful. If you're bringing dependents, will they be in school? The government here mandates that children ages 5 to 16 must be in school. So you have to show that they're going to be enrolled in either a private or public school system. So you have to think about what your life is going to look like. It's not just going to be vacations and cocktails on the beach. It's still real life, so you have to be prepared before you get here. Decide what your plan is and figure out if that's also convenient for you, if it's worth the hassle. And also, you don't have to stay for the entire 12 months. I know the government might hate for me to say that. You can apply for the 12 months and maybe stay for 7 or stay for 6. This all goes back to my first tip. Figure out if it's financially worth it, what the financial risks are. So just come prepared. Don't just show up and think that they're gonna welcome you with open arms. You have to have a plan. And then finally, my third tip would be think long term for now. So you're going to move to Barbados for a year. Wow, that's amazing. Congratulations. But what happens if you want to stay longer? This tip is kind of specifically for persons coming from the CARICOM region. If you have a CARICOM Skill National Certificate, that's great. But trust me, when you get here, you're going to have to apply for another one. When I was coming here, I applied for one back home in Belize. But when I got here, they told me that I still needed to apply for a skill certificate that was issued by the Barbados Accreditation Council, I think it was. So you still, if you plan to stay longer than a year, you'll need to apply for a visa of some sort. Or if you're a CARICOM national, you can apply for the skills certificate. You have to be in communication with the immigration department to let them know, because if you stay a day longer than what you're allowed, that is a felony. You will be considered a criminal. It's not allowed, it's illegal. So make sure that you let them know that you're planning on extending your stay, and do this months in advance. Figure out if this is something that you want to do, if it's something that you can see yourself doing long term, or not. You can go back home. And that's the beauty about moving. I've lived in a few places, and the beauty about living in other countries is that if at some point you decide maybe I want to try something new, you can always go back home or try somewhere else. But yeah, also, if you're going to stay here for longer than a year, remember that you're going to have to start to paying taxes. So you'll have to be in touch with the Barbados Revenue Authority and sign up for a TAMIS account so that the government can start to charge you a lot of income tax. So I think that's it. If you have any questions, something that I may have missed out, leave them in the comments below. I'm happy to get back to you. But I think the most important thing about moving to Barbados, knowing how to move to Barbados, is realizing that it's going to be an experience, and the experience is going to be how you make it. So make the most of it when you get here. Living in Barbados has not been easy. There has been a lot of challenges for me in particular, but it's also been a really exciting and amazing journey so far. Sometimes I hate this place as you do, but sometimes I really love this place. So when you're coming, just remind yourself that this is going to be a completely different experience from where I am. Even if you're coming from another Caribbean country, it's not the same thing. It's a whole, this place is its whole, this place is just different. So yeah, just remember that it's going to be different, and be open to the new possibilities. Make sure you read all the rules, ask all the questions, send the emails, make the calls before you get here, and even while you're here, so that you know how to make the most of your time here. And yeah, that's it from me, and I'll see you in my next one.